20 verse 11. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. Revelation 20 verse 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. And the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. Revelation 20 verse 13. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged, every man according to their works. Revelation 20 verse 14. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Revelation 20 verse 15. And if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. Revelation 21:8. But the fearful, and the unbelieving, and the abominable and murderers, and whoremongers and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars, will have their part in the lake burning with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.
Daniel 7. The Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and his hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was as a fiery flame. Okay, his throne is a fiery flame, as you can see in the video, just like the white throne in Revelation 20. And his wheels as a burning fire. Wheels here is talking about the Son of Man coming in the clouds, guys. So when he comes in the clouds, it's the time of the resurrection. In Daniel 7. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were open. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were open. Okay, this is what we can see in Daniel 12. And they were delivered. Every one shall be found written in the book. Many of them sleep in the dust unto everlasting life, and others to everlasting contempt. Okay, so the books are open. Then back to Daniel 7, I saw the one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days. So here you see a man standing in white, standing before the Ancient of Days. Okay, in this video, we're going to show you how to stand before the Ancient of Days, to present yourself in your garments like a priest to the Most High. We're going to see how the white throne judgment, the Ancient of Days sitting, is a type and shadow of Yom Kippur. We're in the 10 days of awe leading to Yom Kippur. Okay? We're going to show you how to stand. We're going to show you procedurally how to do this. It is possible to do. Okay? But this is none other than the judgment seat of Christ. Romans 14:10, why do you judge your brother? Why do you set at naught your brother? For we shall all stand before the judgment seat of Christ. 2 Corinthians 15, for we all labor, whether present or absent, to be accepted of him, for we all must appear before the judgment seat of Christ. Everyone may receive the things done in his body, according to as he has done, whether it be good or bad. So guys, the judgment seat of Christ is going to happen, but we can seek him and come before his throne of grace now. The judgment was set and the books were open. So you can see in the video how there was a podium. So here is our podium. The judgment was set and the books were open. So here we have our book open, and we're going to show you how to do this. Okay, we're going to show you what is the way we can present ourselves before the Most High, that we would stand before the Most High. Okay, watch and pray and take heed of your ways, lest you be caught up in cares and drunkenness, in the cares of this life. Okay, and you are not accounted worthy to stand before the Son of Man. Now, this is something you can do in preparation, something you can do now. Guys, these are types of things that I do all the time, and I don't always share them on the channel, but I really feel like now we're in this time, the Feast of Trumpets just happened yesterday. We're in these 10 days of awe. Okay, it talks about the 10 days to the church at, I think it's, Smyrna. Maybe we'll take a look. But basically, 10 days of awe, 10 days of preparation to present yourself before the Most High, okay? Now, what we're going to do, we're actually going to give you some practical things you can do, all right? Don't be so caught up on the external things, okay? These are not external things. These are things I'm going to show you in demonstration of the spiritual nature of how to do this, how to present yourself, how to present yourself in judgment. Some good verses are Psalm 26, judge me, O God. Okay, so we want to know if the adversary has anything against us, okay? Because when the books are open, all right, we want to make sure that we are standing before him without spot or wrinkle. Now, we've been sharing with you how to be a citizen of heaven. Okay, now when you're a citizen of heaven, you then enter into this area of priesthood. And then you enter into these assemblies. So we know these assemblies are the Moedim, okay? The appointed seasons, the 3 appointed seasons throughout the year where you are to present yourself before and see the face of Yahweh. We talked about Hebrews 12:22, but you are come to Mount Zion. So keep in mind, we can physically do things on the earth to present ourselves in Mount Zion. Okay? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. And unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, to an innumerable company of angels. Okay? So remember how we saw in Daniel, there were 10,000 times 10,000 ministered to him. Okay, so those are the angels. Then there were 10,000 times 10,000 that stood before him. Okay? We can see the same thing here. The innumerable company of angels, 10,000 times 10,000 myriads of angels, and to the general assembly, the ecclesia of the firstborn, which are written in heaven. So, right here, in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 22, we have Mount Zion. We have the city of the living God, okay? And we have this same language we can see on Yom Kippur, on the white throne judgment, okay? This assembly of the ecclesia of the firstborn written in heaven to the God, the judge of all, okay? Now, the sinners and the wicked and the apostates, just keep in mind, I'm just going to delete all your comments, but they hate this message, okay? They want to say, the sinners and wicked, they don't ever want to face judgment. No, God, you know, no. And they're going to do all kinds of evil and wicked things and justify themselves, okay? But the righteous and the lambs and the sheep, that's who this message is. Because you just want the truth, okay? You just want to make sure you're not doing anything the Most High is displeased with, okay? Now, one way you can find out is by doing what we're showing you, okay? Presenting yourself at this podium. Let the books be open, okay? So that's what we can see to the God, the judge of all, okay? Now, the reason that people don't want to be judged is because they think God is mad at them. Now, if you're a sinner and the wicked, yes, you know, you're facing wrath and judgment, okay? But they think God is mad. Now, the righteous don't think God is mad at them. They think he's just like it says. They think his judgments are righteous. His judgments are just. So they will stand before the podium and present themselves. They will let the books be open. They will let the Most High teach us and explain to us as little children how this works, okay? So, that is what you can see in this assembly on Mount Zion. We have those written in heaven. We have the ecclesia, the great assembly of the firstborn, okay? And to those written in heaven and to the God, the judge of all. So this is the great day that will come, okay, in the white throne judgment, okay? And all men must appear before the white throne judgment. But every year, there's a practice, okay? So we're rehearsing. What these feasts mean is you do them with, practicing, okay? You're practicing, it's a dress rehearsal, waiting for the actual manifestation when it happens, okay? Now, if you don't practice, you don't know, okay? And many of the people that don't know, they're in the audience. They're in the audience and they're watching the play, okay? And they just criticize the play. Oh, look at that. Look at their bums, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't practice. They didn't rehearse. So what we're doing is we're practicing. That's what the feasts mean, okay? Now, how this worked on the Day of Atonement, guys, is on the Day of Atonement, it's one day that the high priest will come before the Holy of Holies in the Ark of the Covenant. Now, this was not the plan, okay? This was a law that was instituted when the guys there, Nahab and Abihu, they offered strange fire, okay? So what happened is Moses is showing all this stuff. The tabernacle's built. As soon as the tabernacle is built, I think within a few days, these guys, they were Levites, okay? But they offer some strange fire, okay? God kills them instantly and institutes a law that, okay, now, because you did this, you cannot come all the time into the Holy of Holies. You cannot come all the time. You can see Moses went all the time, okay, before the mercy seat. All the time, all right? He was not restricted to one day a year, okay? He was not restricted. But the restriction went on them. Why? Because of strange fire. Because it wasn't supposed to be so. Now, we don't actually know what frequency that this type of offering and the priest would present himself to do this. We don't know because we never had a chance to learn it, all right? But now we see this Yom Kippur. Okay, now only one day of the year you can come. Now, so what that means is we can come more than one day, okay? But we realize that this one feast, the Most High gave us this instruction of this feast to understand, to prepare and practice for that great day of judgment, so that we could stand before him, let the books be open, and not be ashamed. Now, on the Day of Atonement, what would happen is the high priest would have to wash himself, okay? He would have to put on certain garments, okay? Then he would perform some various offerings. One of the offerings, he would take incense, and he would take incense from the incense altar, and he would bring that into the Holy of Holies. Okay, bring that into the Holy of Holies. Okay, he would do that. He would take two goats. Okay, he would take two goats, and the two goats would get a seal, a mark on them. Okay, the one goat would get the mark. Okay, and this represents the seal of God, and that goat would be sacrificed on the altar. Then the other goat would get the mark of Azazel. Okay, and he was sent into the wilderness. So this represents us, and this represents in the end of days when Christ will separate the sheep, okay, those that love not their lives unto death, okay, and are give themselves as a willing sacrifice, okay, and those that are goats, okay, he will put the sheep on his right hand and the goats on his left hand. And the goats represent the ones that have the seal and lot of Azazel. Okay? So that is the day of judgment. It is represented by those two goats. All right? So the priest, what he would do is he would put on his garments. All right? He would put on his garments, and then he would go through all this. And then if it were acceptable, then the Most High would appear, and he would manifest his glory on the mercy seat and have some message. So it's important you understand all those details, because, you know, it's not that you have to do all those things and get a sheep and a goat. And no, that's not what it means for us, okay? But we can find what it means in Zechariah chapter 3. So whenever I teach the courts of heaven, whenever I teach this stuff, this is what I teach first, okay? This principle, standing before the Most High, presenting yourself with your garments, okay? Allowing yourself to be judged, to be scrutinized, okay? And because of that, and these are holy matters, that's why I don't share everything with the people that I do personally, okay? But what I'm doing is I'm showing you what I do personally, okay, when I present myself. And this is real. This is very, very real. Everything will happen. Now, if we go to Zechariah chapter 3, it says, he showed me Joshua, or Yehoshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord. Okay, so this Zechariah chapter 3 is a type and shadow of what's happening in the spirit realm when the high priest comes on the Day of Atonement. Okay, so he's standing before the angel of Yahweh. When he stands before the angel of Yahweh, it is what happens on this precise day. And then he said, and I saw Satan standing on his right hand to resist him. Okay, so Satan stands. So you stand at the podium, like when you stand before the judge. Okay, and then you have the adversary. He stands. Okay, and so he stands to accuse you. Say, hey, you know, he can't have his garment. He can't do this. You know. And guys, it's important that you understand how to handle all this, because all this is real. Because you'll have accusers, and then you can get mad and defensive. No, man, I didn't do it. You know, that's not how it works. When you put yourself before this, you allow yourself to go through this scrutiny. Okay, to teach you, to show you, hey, look, not everything you're doing is right, man. You're doing a lot of stupid stuff, and you need to stop it. That's how we can learn from this, all right? So you have the adversary that is there, and it says in Matthew 5:25, it says, agree with your adversary quickly. Okay, now agree there has to do with be well, or handle the situation with wisdom. Okay, because what will happen is when you do this, this will happen. This will manifest. You'll get people accusing. Satan will appear in people, okay, and will resist you. Okay, so Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. And Yahweh said to Satan, the Lord Yahweh rebuke you, O Satan. Okay, so Yahweh rebukes Satan. even the Lord that has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? Okay, so what this is saying is that the one standing here, the one facing this judgment, is he not a brand plucked in the fire? Okay, now this, I don't know if you can see it, I'm just going to use this stone as an example. But what this is saying is that there's a brand plucked from the fire. So it's plucked in the Hebrew here, okay. This is actually where the Septuagint used the word harpazo. Okay, is this brand harpazo from the fire? Okay, so what that means is this person, or who is standing here that Satan is accusing, has been through the purging process, has been through the fire, okay, to stand and do this case. Now Joshua was clothed with garments and stood before the angel. Okay, remember the priest, he had to put on his garments. Remember in the video, the man is standing at the port with white garments. Okay, so this is what it's saying. So he's standing before the angel, standing before the judge, presenting himself in his garments. Now what he has done is he would have had to prepare himself over many days to reach this date. Okay, he would have certainly made sure his garments were clean, and he would have done all the exterior things to prepare. Okay, but the adversary still has a case against him. All right, because he's done all that work, but then it was determined. Now Joshua was clothed with filthy garments and stood before the angel. So even though he's done everything to prepare himself, he still has filthy garments. Okay, and that's where we do this, because we have filthy garments. Okay, so show us what is it? What is it that, what is it we're doing? How is it that we have filthy garments? All right, we're doing our best. We're trying to obey, right? Well, we can learn. We can learn from this. But so the adversary had a case. He said, look, he has filthy garments. He cannot stand here. He has no right, okay, to have the books open and give him righteous judgment. That's what the adversary is saying, because of what? Filthy garments. And he said, and he spoke to those that stood by him and saying, take away the filthy garments from him. Okay, so he gets this change of raiment. He gets these garments removed. Okay, and this is a type and shadow of when the promise is to those of a glorified body. Okay, that means this body of the flesh will be changed. Okay, it will be changed into a glorified body. And that is the type and shadow of garments. Okay, we have filthy garments, but then it's when he comes, he will change those garments. All right, and garments also relates to character. Are we walking by the fruit of the Spirit, or are we walking by the flesh? Okay, so these are these garments. And he stood before him, take away the filthy garments. And he said to him, behold, I have caused the iniquity to pass from you. Okay, so the changing of the garments, the removing of the garments means that the iniquity is passed from him, and I've clothed you with the change of raiment. Okay, so the high priest and any of us as priests, it's not just the high priest, this is just procedurally how we all present ourselves before the white throne, is we have this situation, we have filthy garments, and then the angel says, okay, I'll take that iniquity away and give him a change of garments. Okay, now this change of garments happens because of what Christ did for us as a sacrifice. It's only by the blood of Christ we can have this change of raiment. So the new garments are placed upon him. Okay, and I'll give you a change of raiment. And he said, let a fair mitre be upon his head. Now, mitre in the Hebrew here is actually the word diadem. And if we look through Esther and we look throughout, you'll see that it has this blue, this white and blue. And I found this and I was like, oh wow, that's closer to what this is talking about, because the word is actually diadem, and a diadem is a band. It could be a wreath, it could be a band, but what it is, it's a crown. So when the high priest had a band, he had a crown, he had a mitre, and a turban. Okay, so some translations, your translations might call it a turban. Okay, so let his garments be changed. Okay, give him a change of raiment. So you get a change of raiment and give him a pure mitre. Okay, so this is a turban. This is a headdress. So you have a headdress. Okay, that will go on. And you have this this crown, this other piece, okay, like this. And so it's a change of garments. Give him a new change of garments. Give him a new crown. I think it would go like this, right? Hopefully this looks okay. And so this is the crown, and this is what it's talking about in the book of Revelation. It talks about the crown, all right? The Church of Philadelphia has the crown. It says, "No, let no man take your crown." That means you already have the crown, okay? And that means you have to do this to stand, to receive this change of raiment, to receive this mitre upon the head, okay? So they set the fair or pure diadem on his head, and they clothed him with garments. And the angel of Yahweh stood by. Okay, so the angel of Yahweh is the judge, and he is presenting himself before the judge, as you can see, all right? And he's standing beside, and he said, okay, now that you have these garments, the angel of Yahweh protested unto Yehoshua, saying, "Thus says the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Sabaoth, if you will walk in my ways, if you will keep my charge, then you will judge my house, and you shall also keep my courts. And 5, I will give you places to walk with those that stand by." So who are the ones that walk and stand by? That's the host before the heavens, the angels, the angelic order, the principalities and powers, okay? If you will walk in my ways, okay, if you will keep my courts and keep my statutes, I will give you places to walk with those that stand by here. Okay, so that's what the honor is to Yehoshua. Okay, and so then this completes this process, this transformation of having our filthy garments. Okay, it's not the works of our righteousness that earns the merit of these things. Okay, but it's by standing in the courts. It's doing these procedures so that you know what the adversary is saying. Okay, what is the adversary saying? Well, you have to present yourself in the courts. You'll see that the adversary will rise up and say, "No, you can't, Leland, you can't do this, you can't do that, you did this, you did it." And he could be right. Okay, the adversary could be right. It's in a court. You know, you got a case going on. All right, so, well, hey, look, if you're doing something and the adversary is right, you know, you'll face judgments. You know, you'll face curses. You have problems. And you can say, how come I have problems? How can I have curses? The book says, look, blessed are you if you keep his commandments. Cursed is you if you don't. All right, so why do you have curses? Why are these bad things happening to good people? Well, there could be a reason. It's not that it's as simple as that. But this is how we can do this, okay? And now, what I do is I do all this, and I say, okay, in the days leading up, so we had the first day yesterday, the Feast of Trumpets, then we have the days each day. I'm going to present myself. Now, this is how I do it, okay? This is how I do it. I put on my garments, I present myself, and I just close my eyes. I say, okay, Yahweh, I put on my garments, I present myself, and I take a step into your kingdom. And I present myself before your throne, okay, like the priest, Yehoshua, and I present my garments. Is there anything you want to say? Anything you want to show me? Anything you want to teach me? Okay, show me how my case is. Show me if there's anything I'm doing not pleasing in your sight. Show me that I'd have the opportunity to stand before the Son of Man when he appears in the clouds. Okay? Amen. And then I take a step back, okay? Now, quite often I'll do that in, I may see something may happen. But I take a step by faith, okay? We walk by faith, not by sight, but you take a step in knowing all this, and many times you will see something or something will happen, okay? So that is the basics of the courts of heaven, okay? It says it right there. If you will also keep my courts, all right? This is not on the earth. This is not, earthly courts. So this is how there's a change of raiment and the change of garment, and the Most High will teach you these different details, okay? Now, the white throne judgment is before the millennium. So here in Revelation 20, we can see they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. Now, during that 1,000 years, but the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. So what that means is that there's people that die in those 1,000 years, okay? Now, the way they put this, they made it seem like that the end of the 1,000 years is the first resurrection. No, this word, this is the first resurrection, should be in this paragraph here. Read it this way. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection, on which the second death has no power. They shall be priests unto God and of Christ, and shall reign with them 1,000 years. So that means the first resurrection, and blessed and holy are those that part in the first resurrection with glorified bodies. They'll be the priests of God and Christ, and reign with him 1,000 years. So the first resurrection happens at the beginning of the millennium, okay, as does the white throne judgment, okay? And then, when the 1,000 years expired, Satan is loosed to judge the sinners on the earth, because there's people that still don't believe him. So, okay, so here we have the 1,000-year millennium. We have the apocalypse taking place before that. In that apocalypse, we have Armageddon. Okay, so then you have the lake of fire. That's what happens here. Okay, now the devil is bound in the bottomless pit. Okay, so he's bound during that whole time, and then he's released at the end for Gog and Magog. That's at the end of the millennium. Okay, but the coming of the Son of Man in the clouds, that's the first resurrection. That happens at the beginning of the millennium, as does the white throne. Back to Daniel 7, the Ancient of Days did sit in his garment, right? His throne was a fiery flame. Okay, that's the white throne judgment. And his wheels, so what the wheels mean is the wheels is his throne. When the Son of Man comes in the clouds, he has 4 cherubim and 4 wheels. So this is the moving throne. This is the sign of the Son of Man right here when he comes in the clouds. And the wheels, see, those wheels, those are the 4 winds. From the 4 winds. Okay, you see the 4 winds in Revelation 7 and Matthew 24, verses 30 and 31. Okay, so when it's talking about the wheels here, that means he's coming in the clouds. When he's coming in the clouds, 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, and the judgment set and books are open. That's the white throne. Now that part at the end there, I just went over quickly because the white throne judgment is before the millennium. So this is going to happen a whole lot sooner than the people are prepared for. That's why I do videos like this. I have another video. I go into a lot more detail. I just don't have the time, because in this one we want to show you how to present yourself, how to present yourself with your garments, present yourself before the throne, present yourself before the judge, okay, and prepare for this day. Okay, so we're practicing, we're learning, okay? So guys, there's a lot of other playlists connected to this message. We have the feasts, okay? The Sabbath and feast playlist, okay, where we teach you lots of things like this. What do these feasts mean? What is their significance? Please look at that playlist. Many of you ask me, what about this? What about that? I've already talked about it, guys. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in comments, and I'm just going to show you where the videos are, okay, to answer your question. And we can see the book's opening, standing in the podium. We have the white throne, and we practice that every year during this time period. So you have the Feast of Trumpets. You have 10 days leading to this practice of the white throne judgment. In addition to this, guys, this is part of our playlist, The Citizens of Heaven, and it's also part of our playlist on show them the pattern, okay? Show them the temple, okay? Because that's all part of being a priest. How are we priests, okay? We can see the priest, the order of the priest with the citizens of heaven, the order of the priest with the millennial temple. They're also called the sons of Zadok, okay? All of these things must be understood how to do this, all right? And so when Christ comes and the Son of Man appears in the clouds, he's going to look for the pattern of heaven. Who is in their tribe? Who is in their order? Who is representing him? Okay? Who can stand before the Son of Man? So guys, thanks for watching. And as we say, fear God. Give glory to him. For the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him that made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and the fountains of waters. Amen.